I said, rather unwisely, I suppose, according to general rule, that I didn't think an inquest would be necessary. You mean you offered to perform the post-mortem yourself? Yes. I made no doubt that I should find a sufficient cause of death to enable me to give a certificate. I had one bit of luck, and that was that the old lady had at some time or another expressed in a general way an opinion in favour of cremation, and the niece wished this to be carried out. This meant getting a man with special qualifications to sign the certificate with me, so I persuaded this other doctor to come and help me to do the autopsy. And did you find anything? Not a thing. The other man, of course, said I was a fool to kick up a fuss. He thought that as the old lady was certainly dying in any case, it would be quite enough to put in cause of death cancer, immediate cause heart failure, and leave it at that. But I was a damn conscientious ass and said I wasn't satisfied. There was absolutely nothing about the body to explain the death naturally, and I insisted on an analysis. Did you actually suspect? Well, no, not exactly. But I wasn't satisfied. By the way, it was very clear at the autopsy that the morphine had nothing to do with it. Death had occurred so soon after the injection that the drug had only partially dispersed from the arm. Now I think it over, I suppose it must have been shock somehow. Was the analysis privately made? Yes, but of course the funeral was held up and things got round. The coroner heard about it and started to make inquiries, and the nurse, who got it into her head that I was accusing her of neglect or something, behaved in a very unprofessional way and created a lot of talk and trouble. And nothing came of it. Nothing. There was no trace of poison or anything of that sort, and the analysis left us exactly where we were. Naturally, I began to think I'd made a ghastly exhibition of myself. Rather against my own professional judgment, I signed the certificate. Heart failure following on shock, and my patient was finally got into her grave after a week of worry without an inquest. Grave? Oh, yes. Yes. That was another scandal. The cremation authorities, who are pretty particular, heard about the fuss and refused to act in the matter. So the body is filed in the churchyard for reference if necessary. There was a huge attendance at the funeral and a great deal of sympathy for the niece. The next day I got a note from one of my most influential patients saying that my professional services would no longer be required. The day after that I was avoided in the street by the mayor's wife. Presently I found my practice dropping away from me, and I discovered I was getting known as the man who practically accused that charming Miss So-and-so of murder. Sometimes it was the niece I was supposed to be accusing, sometimes it was that nice nurse. Not the flighty one who was dismissed, the other one, you know. Another version was that I tried to get the nurse into trouble because I resented the dismissal of my fiancée.